NBA, where we await LeBron's decision on where he will play next. The King's Court. His agent Rich Paul has taken calls from every NBA team. The Cavs, Heat, and Sixers, though, are definitely in the conversation. Phillies president Bob Myers made his case to why the Sixers are the best place to win LeBron's agent, Rich Paul, on his podcast. Take a listen.
If he was here, I'd say I honestly believe this is your best chance to win. You have to decide all the other things that are equally important. What I would just say is, if it's about winning, and that, let's talk about this team, because you can win here in Philadelphia.
David, where is the best fit for LeBron?
First, can I just start by talking about how wild this is, that LeBron James, who at his age, 16 years after the decision, is having general managers show up like Shark Tank or America's Next Top GM on his agent's podcast to pitch for him to join this team. Like, when you talk about a guy who knows how to dominate the narrative and dominate the offseason, that is LeBron's second best talent behind basketball. Like, him and Rich Paul just know how to just orchestrate this so beautifully. But with that said, Bob Myers is right. I think that the Philadelphia 76ers do make the best fit for LeBron. And I've been going back and forth on this, and I keep coming back down to this one fact, is that which team does LeBron James, if he has a 8-point game, 10-point game, 3 assists, 3 for 15, or tweaks an ankle, which team could sustain that the most? And for me, it is, or withstand that the most. For me, it is Philadelphia 76ers. They can withstand a bad LeBron James better than some of these other teams will. For Cleveland, like, you think about Cleveland, like, LeBron James is going to have to input that championship sort of culture there. He is going to be the guy that I trust the most with the ball at the end in Cleveland. With Miami, this guy is going to be running that offense pretty much. There is a lot that is to be desired in the paint with Giannis, with Bam, with LeBron there trying to figure that out. Golden State, he is going to have to be a major cog in that offense, especially when you're talking about the pick and roll, especially when you're talking about Draymond and Steph. And he's going to have to play a lot of defense and play big. With Philadelphia, though, if LeBron James has a bad game, you have 3 25-point scorers on that team. You have guys who can get to the playoffs if, he has a bad game, who can take the last shot. Maxey can take a last shot. He's a great clutch scorer. Jaylen Brown is the same. And we haven't even mentioned Embiid, who is an all-star level player when he's healthy. They can withstand bad LeBron games or bad LeBron weeks. Philadelphia just makes a lot of sense for LeBron for that reason.
I mean, look, what I will say is that, and this is a personal plea, personal feelings. Like, I think Miami is the best possible place for LeBron. And here's why. I believe in the infrastructure of the Miami Heat more than I believe in the infrastructure of any other organization in the NBA, with Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra, who I think is still a top 3 coach in the NBA. When you look at the talent that Spo had last year, the lack of, they led the league in scoring, and they didn't even have a number 1 option. Like, Bam Adebayo was misplaced and miscast as a number 1 option. Now you go get Giannis, and you have Bam. You know what those 2 guys are? 2 guys that are going to do the heavy lifting and the dirty work. You don't need LeBron at this stage of his life, at this stage of his career, getting down in defensive stances, trying to get triple doubles. You need him to be a closer and an orchestrator. And I think he, combined with Eric Spoelstra and Pat Riley and everything that Heat organization has, they are very, very good, y'all, at finding players on the margins. They have shown it historically. Finding players for minimum contracts, finding players who've been in the G League. And next thing you know, with Jimmy Butler and Bam, they're in the NBA Finals. Like, I've seen it. Now you add them Giannis Antetokounmpo, who before this year had been a top 6 MVP candidate for 7 straight years, y'all. Like, that's legit. He is a legitimate superstar. So if you add LeBron in, there's going to be some logistical issues in the paint and everything else, but I trust in the coaching of Eric Spoelstra, and I trust in the ability of LeBron to be a better spot-up shooter, because that's what he's evolved into as his career has wound down. Not a driver to the rim, but as a spot-up shooter who can play off of everybody, the malleable superstar. That's what's enabled him to be effective at 42 years old. So playing around Giannis and Bam, I don't think it's that difficult a task.
It depends on what you mean by the word fit. Because does fit mean on the court? Because what does LeBron mean by the term happiness? This is why this is so fascinating, because even back in 2010, when 6 teams cleared the salary cap space and all 6 teams came in and met with LeBron, he wasn't considering all 6 teams. He was never going to the Clippers, with all due respect, okay? He was not going to the Nets, with all due respect. When Rich Paul puts 10 teams on the board, it's because the term happiness and the term fit is so relative. Like, does being in a place where he's comfortable living, is that part of the fit? Because he's going to be comfortable in Akron, he's going to be comfortable in Miami. Does being close to his family, because not all of his family is necessarily moving with him, does being in San Francisco, where he can go be with his family on an off day very easily, on an hour-long flight, or go see his son play at Arizona in a much quicker fashion, is that part of fit? I mean, it just depends on what it is. And this is the thing, it hasn't been defined. So we can spend the rest of this show going over which basketball team makes more sense. Yeah, like the 76ers have a compelling case. That's what Bob Myers is doing. He's making the case. But you heard Bob even there say, if that's what matters. Even Bob doesn't know. Bob doesn't understand 100% what he's trying to sell, okay? He doesn't know if he's trying to sell certain facilities or certain golf courses or whatever, you know, and that's one of the things that is just very hard to project. Let's just be honest, guys. LeBron can fit on any team. He can play point guard, he can play center, he can play power forward, he can play small forward, he can play on the ball, he can play off the ball, he can post up, he can play in transition. His ability to fit is one of the defining characteristics of his career. He's played with like a double-digit percentage of the players in NBA history. That's right. He's played with some ungodly number of players who've ever graced the court in NBA history. So you're going to argue these 5 players on this team are a better fit than these 5 players on that team? That's not as relative as where he is going to feel his personal fit and his personal happiness. So it's a good question. It's a debatable question. I don't know how to answer it.
I mean, that's a really great point. I mean, LeBron can fit anywhere, but what does fit mean to him? Now, if LeBron, let's just say, does happen to join Philly, though, David, who would be the number 1 option?
All of the above, which is why Philly makes so much sense. Like, I mean, that's the thing, is that LeBron James, if you go to Miami or you go to Cleveland, I think that at the end of the game, LeBron James is going to have the ball in his hands. And with the question of what does he want to be the guy that ends the game with the ball in his hand? He may still feel like that should be his role, or he may say, I'm too old for that. I don't want to do that. I want a younger player to do that. Philadelphia allows for that because they, again, are malleable and they can fit the different schemes and the different defenses that they face. Maybe one night Jaylen Brown is hot. He can take that shot. One night Tyrese Maxey can score 40 points. Joel Embiid may have a mismatch with the bigs there, and he can score. Or it may just be LeBron James running the type of play that he can get open and get the shot that he wants. I think that is why one of the reasons that Philly on the court is compelling. Off the court, it's a little weird. I don't know about LeBron James wanting to go there to a city he has no real ties to. It doesn't have a story like Cleveland or Miami or playing again with Stephen Curry. But on the court, that's why one of the reasons makes so much sense, because any one of those guys could take that last second shot.
I mean, we got to figure out who's going to be on the floor for Philadelphia if he's playing for them, because Joel Embiid, y'all, like, this is the question. Like, we need to really drill this home. Joel Embiid cannot be counted on health-wise to play, considering how much money he makes, considering how historically important he has been to that organization as a former MVP. You cannot just dismiss him in this equation and say, well, we'll just figure it out when he plays. We saw what happened last year in the playoffs. Talent-wise, they were able to beat Boston because they had such a decided talent advantage coming back from 3-1. When they went against a team that knew what they were doing, they were down in 4 games easy. I don't know if that's necessarily the spot that you can say, man, anybody can be the number 1 option. What we have shown in the NBA over the past X amount of years is that you need a defined number 1. There's been various times where different players could play the role of a number 1 in a pinch. But usually throughout history, and I'm not going to buck it, usually through history, there's a defined number one so everybody else can fit into corresponding roles. Everything else, you can be number one, you can be number one. That all sounds nice, but that ain't real life. That ain't the NBA that we've been watching for 70 damn years.
From a basketball standpoint, what I suspect that is going to be important to him is that he is going to be able to get through the regular season without having to go to extraordinary measures, without having to play 38 minutes a game, without having to take 25 shots. I think Philly can make a compelling case that they would not tax him too much, and he could save his body for the postseason, and he can build up to the postseason. Philly can make a strong case to do that, but so can Cleveland. Cleveland has a build-out just as strong as Philly, and they are home. So, and I mean, that's what everybody out there is worried about, is they're trying to make a compelling case. Can anybody make the compelling case that's more compelling on the roster than Cleveland and more compelling on the home front than Cleveland? The teams out there that I've talked to are skeptical. They don't know for sure, but they're skeptical.
I mean, what LeBron James defines as compelling is up to him, and hopefully he'll give us some more insight to that very soon. But there's so much more coming up on First Take. Argentina had a comeback for the ages over Egypt. But after two hard-fought matches in the World Cup, just how good are they? You won't want to miss that.